Hello, 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 biologists, and brace yourself for another worldly question. Um, See that cute alien waving hello? He actually packs a little bit of a punch, but we can do this together. What we're going to go over today is a reasoning ambiguous case multiple allele problems. If this sounds like a lot to think about, it's because it is, but you can all do this. We just have to go through it very methodically. So that's what we're going to do together. We're going to go through this quite methodically and figure out this question, if this will show up. This question. It goes antenna color in aliens determined by multiple alleles. Purple color is dominant over turquoise, which is dominant over neon green, which is then dominant over mustard yellow, thankfully. A purple antenna alien and a turquoise antenna alien mate and have a purple antenna, turquoise antenna, and neon green antenna children. What are the possible genotypes of the alien parents? So this is a bit of a reasoning question here. We're given a multiple allele problem with a hierarchy or an order of dominance, and we have to figure out, first of all, what the alleles are, what order they go in. Then, based on the children, we have to figure out the possible combinations of alleles and genotypes for the parents. So, let's see. I think to kind of go through this methodically, first we're going to define the alleles, and that kind of goes hand in hand with establishing the order of dominance, because until we have an order of dominance in these multiple allele questions, we can't proceed, and we want to be able to proceed. Then, number 3, we will need to figure out the possible genotypes for each overall phenotype to see what we're working with. Then we need to put on our detective caps, and that entails quite a bit of deduction, so I hope you're all feeling your Sherlock Holmes vibes today. Without further ado, because this is already going to be a long one, first we're going to define our alleles. So we have purple color, turquoise, neon green, and mustard yellow. So it says that's our order. So the most dominant, which is dominant over all else, is purple. So we'll say A1 is our purple antenna. We're going to make these A for antenna with a superscript for all the dominant ones, based on their order of dominance, with 1 being the most dominant, 2 being second, 3rd being third, and so on. Second is the turquoise antenna. Third is going to be our neon green antenna. And fourth is mustard yellow, and that's just from the sentence here that goes purple color is dominant over turquoise, which is dominant over neon green, which is then dominant over mustard yellow. And we are going to keep those in mind as we go to the next page. So that was our step 1. Now we have to establish an order of dominance. I'd like to give you a second here. Feel free to pause the video and try to write out your order of dominance, and I will remind you on all these multiple allele questions, if you don't include an order of dominance when it needs one, then your question's wrong because we don't know what's going on at all. So make sure in your answers you include this when you do answer them. So I'll give you about 5 seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there we go. So because we wrote these out so nicely with 1, 2, 3 and stuff, and then the recessive mustard one, also, the reason the A is lowercase here instead of A4 is just because the mustard is recessive in this case. But either way you wrote that, it would work out, but we're going to write it recessive to be extra proper. Anyways, we have A1 is greater than A2 is greater than A3 is greater than A, and that's our hierarchy or order of dominance, and we need that to move forward. And move forward we will. So that's all coming down. That's just reference material that we kind of need now. But let's figure out the possible genotypes for each phenotype. What this means is, what are the possible genotypes, or combination of these alleles, to get purple? What about turquoise? What about neon? What about mustard? I'd like to invite you to map that out, because this is a very good skill to have and something you'll need to be able to do. So I'll give you about 5 seconds here to pause the video, not 5 seconds to do it. So 5, 4, pause the video, 3, 2, 1, and we are back. So, purple antenna is the most dominant. I'm sorry if you can hear those dings. I'm getting lots of emails, but that's a good thing. But purple antenna is dominant, and that means it can like rule over anything. Because we're just doing like within here, classic like Mendelian dominance, where it's just gonna match. So A1 can be matched with A1, homozygous dominant, or it can be any of these cases. Because A1 will beat A2, it'll beat A3, and it'll beat A. So it can be paired with anything. You're going to see like a gradual decrease in the number of potential genotypes here. Turquoise, it's the second most dominant, so it can be paired with anything other than purple, because purple would mask it, but turquoise will mask everything else. So turquoise can be paired with A2, another one of an A2, or an A3 or an A. In any of these cases, you'll get the turquoise phenotype. Then, neon green can only work with itself or the recessive, since again, these two are more dominant, so if we see it crossed with a turquoise or purple, then turquoise or purple will show. Then lastly, the mustard yellow antenna can only work in the homozygous recessive condition. You can see we kind of built like a pyramid going down here, where the more dominant it is, the more potential genotypes you have. So you reach down. This is kind of a good still to have in general if you want to like screenshot this or take a photo. This is a good way that most of these will map out. You have a question very, very similar to this in your practice, for example. Great. So now on to the next step. I'm getting so many emails. Next up, we need to put on our detective cap. So take a second, get your detective cap out of your backpack and put it on your head. And we are gonna think about this. Say, I hope you didn't see that too much, unless you did, in which case, good job. Think about what we know about the parents already. So this is where we're gonna read the question very slowly. It says that a purple antenna alien and turquoise antenna alien mate and have purple antenna, turquoise antenna, and neon green antenna children. That's all the information it's giving us, and these are the parents, the purple and the turquoise one. So think about what that tells us about the parents' genotypes right off the bat, and I'll come back in a few seconds and let you know what I think. So 3, 2, 1, and the parent one is purple, therefore we know that they have at least one purple allele and can be thought of as A1 question mark. The second allele is a question mark for now, because they have to have at least one purple allele to be purple. The parent 2, turquoise, same thing. They have to have at least one turquoise allele to be turquoise, and then we're not sure what the other paired allele is, but we know that they're purple and turquoise, so the purple one has to have at least one A1, and the turquoise one has to have at least one A2. Cool, so with that in mind, we're going to take that information and keep it here. This is just the same information written more concisely. We know that parent 1 has A1 allele and something else. We know that parent 2 is an A2 allele and something else. At each of these junctures, before I show you the next step, I don't want to prompt you too much. So a lot of you are probably like firing on all cylinders right now and like trying to like think about how we could work this out. So if you have an idea, I invite you to pause the video and see what you can come up with right now based on what we know. Otherwise, we'll come back in a few seconds here. So 3, 2, 1. All right, so where I took this next is we know the child 1 has a purple antenna, because we know that there's like a purple antenna child. We know there's a turquoise child, and we know there's a neon green child. This is just told to us in the question. We know we have everything but a mustard yellow child. So we know we have like a purple, turquoise, and neon green child. So our children will have to have like some of these genotypes, not all. But the easiest way to do this is to start from the bottom of the pyramid and work up, because these have more possibilities and they tell you less. The neon green tells us that we need to get at least one A3 allele passed on and potentially two, or it could be one A3 and one A. So remember, each of these alleles, one has to come from each parent. So if there's no case here where they're getting an A2 or an A1, what we can actually do, just by circling that and noticing it, we can eliminate some genotypes from the children and less from the parents, because we know that the parents have to pass on at least one A3 and potentially two in order to even have neon green children like they do. And that tells us a whole lot moving forward. So with that in mind, think about how you could go from here, and I'll give you a little hint. This is an ambiguous case. I know, it's a scary word, but what that means is we're going to have a couple different scenarios here. So I will keep going on my line of thinking in a moment, but I do invite you to pause it and try your luck, because it's good practice. So 3, 2, 1, and yeah, so the neon child could have either genotype. It's ambiguous. Here I just wrote all this information down and deleted the ones that we know aren't there for sure. because these are the only genotypes that are even considered right now. But again, we're going to start from this neon green antenna and think about case 1 where the neon green antenna child is homozygous, or case 2 where the neon green antenna child is heterozygous with the recessive allele, because it can't be paired with an A2 or A1, in which case it wouldn't be neon green. So in this case, the second gamete from each parent would need to be A3 because it's getting two A3s. And then the parent's genotypes would have to be the A1 and an A3, and the A2 and an A3. So in this case, the parent genotypes are this, and that's the only possible way. But in this case, we have two different alleles, and this could come from either parent. So we kind of have a little swappity switcheroo here, where we can have A1, A3, or A1 little a, as well as A2 little a or A2, A3. And a big fat or is going to pop in here, because this is an ambiguous case, so the best thing to always keep in mind here is it's not going to be all of these. We're either going to have this case here where the parent phenotypes are this, or the case where the parent phenotypes could be either of these. Now, based on our reasoning, this question is done, but I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of questions, and I do too, so I'm going to show you how this works out on a Punnett square. You don't have to make this Punnett square because it's not asking for you, but, you know, why not? So here we have the OR popping in, and we're going to make a Punnett square for all these scenarios so you can see how they all work in different ways to give you what the question told you is happening. So here we have this parent, so we have a purple parent. Here we have a turquoise parent, and they are going to cross, and we get a purple and a purple child here, so that's our purple child. Then we get a turquoise child, that's this one, and a neon green child, this one. So that matches up with everything the question told us and could potentially be correct. So that's our case 1. Over here, we have another purple individual. Here we have another turquoise individual. And we're going to match this up. We get purple, purple again, purple, purple. And here we get turquoise, A2, A3, and here's our neon green. So again, we still have a purple and a turquoise parent getting a purple, turquoise, and neon green child. Same if we swap the genes here. We have the purple parent, the turquoise parent, sing purple parent, such a tongue twister. Then we get our genes matched up, and we get purple, purple, and turquoise, neon green. So that does map out, and it is the way to go. So the way we'd finally answer this is we'd have a case 1 and a case 2, and our big fat OR. So in case 1, the only possible parent genotypes are A1, A3, and A2, A3. And then in case 2, if the child is heterozygous, there are two potential genotype combinations of parents. So that they could be A1, A3, and A2A, or A1 little a and A2, A3. So I know that was a lot. Good job sticking through it. I'm going to cut off this video very soon because YouTube has a 15-minute limit and we're getting close to it. But before, I think I still have like another minute here. So these are all about just mapping out what you know based on what the question gives you, brainstorming all the scenarios, and then kind of working up from the bottom. They all follow a similar pattern if you remember this whole like distribution of possible genotypes. Then you kind of look at your most restricted one that it gives you and kind of work your way up, what we did with the neon green. I recommend watch this video back as you look through examples because it'll help you, and attend our Zoom sessions, and feel free to email me as well. If you can do this, you're all set. Like, this is about as tough as it's going to get for you. There are a couple other weird examples that are going to go up, but this is like the meat and bones of Non-Mendellian. So good job everyone for sitting through this and thinking hard on it, and your effort are out of this world. Get it? It's an alien joke. It's pretty funny. But yeah, feel free to email me at mrbscience@gmail.com. And yeah, have an otherworldly day. Take care, biologists.